Hello and welcome to another episode of the Uncommon Energy Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the results from the biggest tournament of the year, the North American International Championships. We're also going to be going over some of the end of season numbers. We now know who has their World's Invite, or do we, some may ask. We will, of course, have Guess That Flavor Text, everyone's favorite segments of the podcast. And then we're going to wrap up this week by taking a look at the Japan Championships coming up this weekend, the biggest tournament of the year over in Japan, one of the last majors of the year. I think there's another Master Ball League happening the week after, correct, Azul? But a big one that we're going to be keeping our eyes on. I'm assuming Azul's going to be doing a co-stream for it. Going to be a lot of fun to check out the brand new black and white sets, legal for play over there, see if they can cook anything up. And then, of course, we're going to have our weekly bonus episode exclusive to our YouTube channel members and Spotify subscribers. My name is Chip Ritchie, and I'm joined here as always by my friend and co-host, Azul GG. What's up, Azul? How we doing, buddy? How was your NAIC experience?
Doing pretty good, Chip. So did play an NAIC over the weekend, played the Grimmsnarl, and the list wasn't anything crazy. I'm actually pretty happy with the list that I played for, I don't know, I guess where I was at in my testing come tournament time. Like post-tournament, there's like a lot I would change about it for sure. Saw some cool ideas for some other players with Grimmsnarl. I still think it was like a pretty good play for the tournament overall. And ended up, 128?
Yo, you
And
gave the list to Austin.
yeah, me and Austin were playing the we
He
ended up playing the same
finished
60.
better than you. Get bodied, bro.
Yeah, by 2 places. Yeah, mostly it was just kinda my play, honestly. Like, I didn't play super well overall. Like, one of my losses day 1, there probably wasn't much I could have done, but, threw one of them away, and then, made some mistakes as well against Piper in the first round of day 2. Made some mistakes there. I don't think those would have changed very much. The openings were a little lopsided in her favor, so it was one of those games where it's like, Uh, most of the time with Grimmsnarl, you don't wanna be the first one attacking, like, too aggressively, but, like, yeah, she was able to just go, like, turn 2, Candy Grimmsnarl, start swinging, and, I couldn't really keep up on the board state. Although, I think that's, like, the way to play the matchup, to be honest. It's actually, like, made me I almost wonder if, like, going first in the Grimmsnarl mirror is just better and just, like, attack turn 2 and start attacking, but, um, yeah, my play overall was not great on the weekend. It was, like, fine. So ended, top 128, 9-4. It's whatever. Definitely could have been more prepared. I wish I had just, like, kind of my plan, like, initially heading into the tournament was, like, to lock in Grimmsnarl, and then as we started getting closer to the tournament, I felt like Grimmsnarl was, like, becoming worse and worse of a play, and I think it was just, like, a fine play for the tournament. It wasn't anything crazy. Mostly you had the matchups you come up a little bit short against are, like, the Joltik Box and the Raging Bolt matchups. But besides that, you're kind of fine against everything else. So I wish I just, like, locked it in a couple days beforehand. My list definitely would have probably been a little bit different. For sure, a little bit more refined, and then my play probably would have been a little bit better as well. So definitely came up a little bit short in both the category or just like overall preparation, but hopefully do a little bit better or feel a little bit better. Hopefully, I leave the World Championships a little bit more content with my preparation for sure.
How do you feel about your process leading up, like the testing on stream and stuff like that? Do you think you're going to try the same type of thing for Worlds?
I'm actually not sure. We'll see. Um, haven't I've like definitely haven't locked in the way I want to prep for Worlds yet. But I'm not against just kinda doing the same thing, except I'll definitely wanna be like, I just wanna lock my deck in sooner, that way I have more time to grind with the deck, like, just play 3 or 4 days in a row of the same deck. Whereas, like, this one, it was kinda just, like, 1 day of grinding with Grimmsnarl, which is kinda what I did for Merida, but I would like to play more games, spend more time, uh, playing the deck I plan to play at the tournament for sure. So, definitely came up a little bit short on that, um, so that would definitely be something that I have to adjust if I approach it the same way of just kinda playing with the deck I plan to play at the tournament on stream. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Haven't locked in anything yet.
Yeah, yeah, plenty of time to kind of figure that all out.
I guess that one thing I want to, yeah, we'll be restreaming the Japan Championships this weekend. There is going to be a 2-day stream. There's only one Champions League where they took like the first day off, but yeah, Friday and Saturday this weekend will be the Japan Championships. So I'll be tuning in, restreaming that for sure. But what about you, Chip? How was your weekend in New Orleans doing the casting?
Yeah, it was sweet. Yeah, I enjoyed New Orleans a lot. It's a cool city, fun time. And casting was great. Paired up with Kyle Sablehouse. I love working with him, of course. And I mean, he's been playing the game for forever, so he's got a lot of knowledge to pull from, years of gameplay and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we played off each other really, really well. It was a lot of fun. I've been doing more of the like hosting and stuff through the end of the season, so I was really glad to get into the booth, to be honest. And got to cast the final match as well, Isaiah versus Riley, which is always a treat, and like I'm very thankful to have the chance to give a voice to a super high stakes game like that. And Guardian Mirror in general, it's not a super exciting matchup, right? It's a lot of like technical damage movement, planning ahead. So it's a little less exciting as a viewing experience, but I think Kyle and I did a pretty good job with it. And I felt super locked in for that cast, that final match, like more than I felt for a singular game. And like even through the rest of that tournament. So I felt really good about it, and I had a great time, and congratulations, of course, to Isaiah as well. It's a cool moment too. Isaiah's someone I've known since he was like a kid, basically. So it was a cool moment to be able to like give a voice to such a special moment for him, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely a fun tournament overall. New Orleans, I feel like we said it last time, it definitely felt better than, like Columbus or Indiana, definitely a step above like both those cities. So that was cool to go back there.
yeah.
I don't think they did any like last year they announced at the end of NAIC last year, I think they said we're going back to New Orleans. They didn't say anything this time around though. I don't think at the end of I didn't watch the end like closing ceremony segment or anything.
There was no
Um
big announcements, I don't think, at the end
yeah.
this time.
So we know nothing about next season post NAIC. And sometimes I feel like most of the time we usually know nothing. I feel like usually stuff is announced between NAIC and Worlds. That's when we usually get next season information most of the
Yeah,
time.
I feel like probably 2 weeks or so after NAIC, you might see something, like I don't know, I feel like it's like they need a little time, get back settled and stuff like that, get the next wave of announcements out. There will definitely be stuff coming out this summer, I would say. I would hope at least, in regards to next season. One other thing too about, NAIC. I did a lot of cubing as well. Had a chance to cube. Like I was part of 4 cubes that fired over the course of the weekend, so that was fun. Drafting, my favorite way to play Pokemon. It was funny, like on I guess Saturday night, Natalie Miller and James Cox drafted with us from Australia, and James was like making fun of me because as I was after I was done looking at my picks, after I was done looking at a pack, I made my pick, I shuffle the pack and then pass it to him. And he was like making fun of me for taking it so seriously. And I was like, dude, like you get to compete in the tournament, and like that's like your way to, compete and take it seriously. This is all I have, I'm not he was like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, I'm just chilling. I'm having fun." But it's like I'm sitting there. I'm trying to take it seriously, trying to get dubs. Win as many cubes as I can.
Yeah.
But and then also do want to give a shout out as well to the um 2010 tournament that happened. 99 players registered for this event. I actually did go play the first round. And then in the middle of the second round, I had to go backstage because it was getting close to time to where I was gonna have to be like doing something. So I had to just concede to my opponent in the middle of the game. I was like definitely going to win that game, by the way, but had to concede. It is what it is. Totally fine. And then I forgot to drop from the tournament. So I apologize if you're out there and you were my third round opponent and you had no
Mm,
one to play against in the third round. I'm very, very sorry.
damn.
I was trying to hustle backstage. But very, very cool. I'm glad to see that Pokemon put something like this on. And I hope that they do more stuff like this in the future. And there's obviously the interest, right? 99 people
Yeah.
here. Um,
Everyone's using real cards. Was anyone using world stacks or no?
no world championship cards were allowed, even if the entire deck was world championship cards. Unfortunately,
Did you have to submit a deck list?
you did not.
Okay, yeah. Because I registered. I did not end up showing up though.
I know. I had your deck in my backpack.
Yeah. I did not end up showing up, unfortunately. But I'll play the next one for sure if they do it again. Yeah, I think they should do more stuff like this, to be honest. I don't know if they should go any older than 2010. Because then people having cards and decks for that is going to be a little bit more sketchy. I feel like 2010 is such a popular retro format, and it isn't that old that there's a lot of people with decks around, even if you're borrowing one from a friend instead of having your own. And they should probably allow worlds decks. I don't know why they don't
Yeah.
allow even not even like a complete worlds deck, but if as long as it's all like the world's cards with the same back, right? Like
All,
why not?
all I gotta say is if I'm playing in the tournament and I'm playing against someone and they play like a world's Pokemon collector, or honestly even a printed out Pokemon collector,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like
Yeah, I
I'm
wouldn't say
not calling
anything.
a judge, man. I just
Yeah.
want to play the game, you know.
Yeah. It's just cool to play it. It like it's one thing to like sit there and play retro decks with people, but like when you're playing in like even this wasn't even like a real it was a tournament, but it was like a 3 rounds, like you're only playing 3 rounds, right? There's
Yeah.
no top cut, no winner, but like that is still like, it's like more competitive. There's a little bit more, it makes you want to play it more, locks you in a little bit more. So seeing more stuff like this, ideally with a winner concluded through top cut would be nice to see in the future for sure, especially at the ICs.
Yeah.
At least like NAIC, EUIC for sure, but
I think that yeah, I think the best thing to do would be full Swiss plus top cut, right?
yes,
But
yeah.
better than this would at least be to run full Swiss. Like if they don't have time, the resources to give us top cut, at least run a full 6 round tournament,
Yeah,
and
final standings are
give us a final standings, give us a clear cut winner of the tournament.
yeah, it would definitely be nice. Because yeah, anyone could just like play old decks against each other, right? And this is like definitely a step above that, but it would be cool to have like a little bit more for sure in
Yeah,
terms of that.
it's funny. I joked about that with someone because it was $15 to play in this tournament. I went and sat down and I played the first round, had to leave in the middle of the second round. I didn't ever go pick up any prize wall points. I don't know if I was supposed to get tickets or whatever for this. So basically, I paid $15 to sit down and play one game of 2010,
But in a competitive environment,
but in a
right?
competitive environment. So that adds some value, of course. And it was cool too. Like Pram was there judging this tournament. There was a lot of judges as well that it was kind of funny hearing them all talk about it because, like, obviously, most of them were not around during 2010. So they were like, having a little powwow about how certain things work and stuff like that.
Everyone just had to
They did play with the true to format rules as well. So you didn't get to play a supporter item or stadium card. Like you could play no
yeah,
trainers on your first turn. You could attack on your first turn. Like they played to the true to format rules and all that
I'd
stuff, which
hope
is
so,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
What the starting rules? Because I was playing with some of your 2010 decks at the tournament a lot throughout the weekend. But the starting rules are you set up and then the winner of the coin flip has to go first, right?
Correct.
Okay. I was like, I wasn't sure if I forgot because people kept trying to correct me on that. I was like, no, no, no. I'm pretty sure this is how it goes.
Yeah.
Um, but I like lost confidence in myself as more and more people were like, "Are you sure it's not like this?" I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure this is the way it goes." Um, but yeah, yeah, it's definitely sick. I would definitely like to see some more retro stuff like this happen for sure. Like I said, going pre 2010 would be a little bit tough, but if it's post 2010 or post, I think you get like a decent amount of players to show up pretty much every single time for sure. And then even allowing they should definitely be allowing world stacks, not allowing world stacks. I
Yeah.
feel like that at the very least should be allowed. It's like not that serious.
If you're ever playing old formats and you're not totally familiar or up to date with what the rules are for the first turn, check out ptcgarchive.com. They've got a list of like the first turn rules for each format and when it changed, all of those things. So you can get the full lowdown of what is appropriate for the format you're playing.
Yeah, yeah. Um, check that out if you're into retro for sure. But yeah, had some. I don't know, honestly. The results from NAIC weren't anything crazy. If anything, kind of feels like a continuation of where we've been with Guardy, Isaiah Bradner winning with Gardevoir, uh,
Yeah, I
the
think
whole thing down.
this tournament ends up being a little bit less about the decks themselves and more about like the player stories here, I
Yeah,
think. And there's a lot of cool things happening. But like just looking at the decks to start with, Gardevoir did win the event, first and second place, another one in top four as well. But if you scroll through the top 32, there is a ton of Dragapult.
there's so much Dragapult.
So much Dragapult, and neither of us were super hype
Hype
on
on it.
Dragapult heading into this
Yeah.
weekend. Like, what do you think happened here?
I mean, me and you were both. I think you saw more was like, ooh, Dragapult Charizard. I mean, you wanted to like push it up a tier on our tier list,
I
and I think
did.
I don't know if would agree with that post tournament because honestly, it was like a good mix of results. Like Tord went the furthest with the straight Dragapult. And I think Ryuki was up there as well with maybe this. I think it was played 59 of 60. I saw on Twitter of the same list as Tord.
I think that's
Um,
right.
so one card different there. So two of the, I mean, best player in the world, one of the most successful players this year, brought the straight Pult, right? And we actually saw Rosh Patel, who actually I played against in round 2 or 3. I don't even remember. I think round 2 I played against Rosh, and I actually did beat him. Straight Pult again. This is actually like the maybe a Henry Brand inspired build. Remember Henry Brand had the 1/1 Dusclops. We saw a couple majors ago now. So had that in there. It doesn't feel like a Dust Snore build. So it's kind of like straight Pult with just a little bit of Dusk in there with the
Yeah,
1/1 Dusclops. Then also had those Watchtowers. So um yeah. So yeah, I mean straight Pult, I mean was the most successful build overall. And that's the build that we were kind of hating on the most. But it is also
definitely.
the build that is weakest to Gardevoir as well. And we saw, I don't know, we see Gardevoir being 3 of the top 4. I feel like Dragapult's numbers or success led to even potentially further Gardevoir's success. It's almost like the Pult players were probably hoping a little bit that the Gardevoir didn't show up as heavily, hoping Grimmsnarl would kind of be the filter, like the route to allow Dragapult to be more successful. Grimmsnarl takes care of Gardevoir, but the Pult players are comfortable in their Grimmsnarl matchup, and that allows them to push to the top. But nope, it's Gardevoir once again with 3 in the top 4. And the most interesting list, I think, took the whole thing down. Isaiah Bradner's list, and I think he gave decent amount of credit to Henry Chow with some
I
of these
believe
innovations.
he conceded 66% of the list to Chow, I believe is what he said on Twitter.
Is that what he said? He takes
Yes.
credit 30 for 33%.
Yeah, something like that.
And it definitely is a pretty interesting build for sure.
Yeah, so the big standouts here, 4 Monkey Dory, of course,
Yep.
4 Darkness Energy, another standout. The Energy Switch, which isn't crazy. He played it to his Stockholm winning run, right? He played it in his Stockholm winning list. There's a boss's orders in here, which we haven't seen from Gardevoir in basically 2 years or a year, right? It's like since like broke back to like reversal Guardy, really.
Yep.
Um, I guess this whole season, most Gardevoir lists have not been running bosses orders. And then the most interesting one, I think for sure, is the Technical Machine Turbo Energize.
Yeah. Yeah, the Turbo Energize is definitely interesting. A way to really get a lot of monkey doors online really quickly. And I assume specifically that's pretty good against Grimmsnarl if they put Frostlass in play, and then also Pult, right? Just getting a lot of monkey dories online really, really quick. It's got to be good against Pult as well. But against Pult, like specifically, you still have the Clefairy to work with. So I feel like it's got to be more of a Grimmsnarl tech than anything for when they put Frostlass in play. It's almost like a trap card for that matchup. Because if Grimmsnarl doesn't put Frostlass in play, you can't really build up enough damage to take advantage of that many monkey dories that
Yeah.
aggressively. Like the E switch itself might be enough. But when they put the Frostlass in play, you can all of a sudden be like, cool, bench a couple extra monkey dories, turbo energize, have like 3 monkey dories set up going into their next turn, and then have all that damage to work with thanks to the Frostlass. So really cool innovation for that matchup. And then also, yeah, like you said, no Drifloon. Like it's kind of more mostly a monkey dory deck. Because you got 1 Screamtail, 1 Bravery Charm, no
Yep.
Drifloon, and
And we
yeah,
saw in game one of the finals, Isaiah prized his Screamtail, also prized the Lily's Clefairy. I don't think he was ever going in with the Lily's Clefairy
yeah,
anyway, but like those are his attackers pretty much. Other than that, it's Gardevoir and Monkey Dorian. So that's what he was attacking with for game one of the finals.
yeah. And I have to assume Riley had the advantage in the mirror match because Riley had uh Drifloon, which means if Riley falls behind on prize cards, Gardevoir has to be in play to play the game. So Riley can one hit KO a 2 prizer always through Drifloon KO Gardevoir, whereas Screamtail KO Gardevoir needs a lot more damage built up through Monkey Dories. And then also
Yep.
play Shaman to protect your bench from the opponent. But it does put a lower HP, 80 HP Pokemon in play, but you can just Screamtail Isaiah's Monkey Dories over and over and over again. So it has to be hard for Isaiah to ever build up a board of Monkey Dories that can actually take additional prize cards.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's one less it's only 2 Bravery Charm here as well for Riley. So like
yeah.
you have one for Drifloon you want at some point, right? You can Bravery Charm the Shaman, which is good, but Bravery Charming a Monkey Dory at some point that to protect that darkness energy can be pretty good
Yeah.
as well. So
Or even your Screamtail to stop an easier Monkey Dory KO. Or like we
yeah.
saw in the game 3 of the finals, protecting the Badoo from being an additional prize card. That's actually a play like I was like Riley had the Brave Charm in hand earlier in the game. I was like, I feel like this should go on Badoo here. And then I went back to the deck, but then Riley was able to find it once again and ended up with it on the Badoo. But I got kind of nervous for that Badoo for a little while.
Yeah.
Just kind of hanging out there, about to be a free prize card.
Yeah, and it ended up being a pretty exciting end to the game, I would say. Back and forth game 1, game 2, only 12 minutes left for game 3. Does come down to the +3 turns situation, but Isaiah plays to the
Yeah.
situation nicely, and is able to come out ahead on prizes and wins the game. Congrats to Isaiah for sure. I mean, he did win Stockholm regionals this year, which is obviously, I mean, that's a huge was a huge hurdle for him, a monkey off his back, so to say, that he had never taken down a major tournament since he came into Masters. He's someone who I think is respected by all of his peers as one of the great players in the game, but he
Yeah.
hadn't, like, not by not getting the win, he it kind of like takes him it kind of like held him back from being considered that by like the wider audience. You know what I mean? Like a
Of course. Yeah.
top notch player. But I think everyone who knows the game knows he is a top notch player, and this solidifies it for sure for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely one of the hardest working players in the game. So it's always good. Like that's what we want to see. We want to see like the eight. Like if we're just talking about like players in terms of their skill, like if we you want the 8 tier 1 players who work the hardest to be in the top 8 of every single tournament theoretically, right? Because that truly is showing that like if you put in the effort, you put in the work, you are going to be able to succeed. And I feel like we've seen a lot of that this season in particular, with success coming from players like Bradner and Henry Chow,
Yep.
specifically, who are now, which I don't think is a secret to anyone. They're working together. You know, they're building decks together and playing together. So, honestly, going to next season, I'm going to be very excited to see what those players can do, and how much potential they have to maybe like take over next season. It'd be pretty cool. Like we haven't seen something like this. I mean, this season already, to be honest, though, like if you're just looking at the tournaments that were won in North America, like Bradner has won an NAIC. Of course, he won Stockholm, but then you had Henry Chow win like 3 events. Michael Davidson worked with them. He won
Yep.
Portland as the last American event before NAIC. So like they already kind of had a pretty dominant season. I believe Hedrick works with them as well, right? So like they have quite the crew. Um, and I mean, maybe there's an argument that they already dominated this season in North America. So it'll be kind of cool to see how that transitions into next season and who kind of maybe steps up to compete against them, in terms of like another group or something.
And I think it's worth pointing out too that, seeing a top tier player take it all down. It's true through all the divisions this weekend as well. Gabriel Fernandez completes the Grand Slam, wins all 3 ICs in a single season. He first player to ever do that. He got the maximum possible number of championship points, winning 3 ICs and 2 regionals for his BFL of 5 there, capping all of his locals. It's like 2,400 points or something like that. Got the maximum amount of points with a deck that I think no one really expected much of in this
Yeah,
format. Charizard. So
Charizard.
we don't normally spend too much time talking about the seniors, but I think it's worth paying Gabriel his respect for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was pretty. I mean, it is seniors division, and part of it is a joke, but part of it's serious. Where I kind of hate on the lower divisions a little bit. Like they just don't matter as much. Like you really have to prove it in masters for it to be as big of a deal as it possibly could be, for sure.
Yeah,
And
it's
we've seen a
like
lot of,
it matters very much to those people,
of
like it's
course.
very important. But like it mattering or like in terms of like the win carries less weight, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely. No one's counting, no one says that Gabriel's the greatest Pokemon player of all time, even though if he had done what he had done in seniors and masters, he would already be like close to that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Definitely is like a pretty big separation in terms of skill and how hard it is to win a masters tournament versus a seniors tournament. But I think everyone's excited to see Gabriel age up to masters. I think he's got, whether he feels it or not, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of people want to see what he's going to be able to do next season as a Masters Division player. He still has one tournament left to kind of cap off his run this year, and that would make it even that much crazier. But I would almost argue that you could say this is maybe the greatest achievement in a single season in Pokemon TCG history is Gabriel Fernandez, despite it being in the seniors division, which I always make sure to be like, there's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't weight seniors' accomplishments or juniors' accomplishments that highly in terms of like how good is this player. It's like we always have to wait and see if they get to Masters and if they even play in the Masters division to truly judge how good a player is. No matter how good you do or what you win in juniors and seniors, you can't really say until they get to the Masters division and do it. But this is something I think a little bit different than what we usually see from the juniors and seniors divisions for sure. So maybe the greatest season of all time, I think. Gabriel Fernandez in the seniors division. I don't even know what you'd have to do in the masters division to top this because we already have like a season from Tord where he like won two ICs and got second at an IC, right? Um, so I don't know. Maybe you still put that past that kind of thinking about that. But then also, like Gabriel winning every regional championship in Brazil, I
Yep.
believe. Um, maxing out the championship points. We'll see how his worlds runs goes. Of course, I think a lot of people are gonna be interested to see how Gabriel ends up at Worlds. He's definitely the favorite to win it all, and it's kind of cool to say that in the Pokemon TCG as well, where you can kind of look at that and like say, oh, Gabriel's the favorite because you can't. It's like hard. You can't really treat it like sports, right? Like when you're going into the playoffs of any sport, you're like, oh, this team is the favorite. This team is the second best or whatever. But it's rare that you. It's really hard to say that about a card game like the Pokemon TCG, where the variants are a little bit higher and like the even if someone is the best player in the world, even if Tord shows up to a tournament, it's not like he's that much more a favorite over the other great players at the tournament, right? But
Yeah.
Gabriel is he's like head and shoulders. He's on like a ladder above the rest of the seniors competition. Like he's up there for sure. So
Definitely.
um excited to see how he caps off his season and then how his first season in Masters goes for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned the pressure too. I don't feel like, just from my light handful of interactions with Gabriel, that he really feels it, to be honest, which is probably the best thing for him,
Yeah.
because he doesn't worry about it. He just plays his game. And that's really what it feels like. I mean, he is a confident kid for sure. So yeah, I'm also very excited to see how things go for him moving forward. But also, he's got his last seniors tournament still. And then even in juniors, there was another really cool story here. First off, a couple of things, like Annabelle, who gets the win. She was a very successful player this year in juniors. She got first at two regionals and second at another. So just another point of, the people who work the hardest and prepare the best, and it pays off, right? But Annabelle and Kinji were brother and sister, and it's something that has happened before, in the TCG, where like in a big finals match, a brother and sister or siblings face off, I should say. We were talking backstage about it, and Sable House was talking about how he and Ryan played in the finals of states, which is obviously a huge tier lower than what we're talking about here. Um, Kyle Sukovich was talking about how he was sure that like the Sakum siblings faced off in, UK nationals finals many times over the years. But yeah, I mean, definitely the biggest stage for like a sibling face off for sure, which is a
Yeah.
really cool story. And I'm sure something you can appreciate as someone who, came up playing the game with your siblings, right?
Yeah, definitely. We never played at all very long in the Masters division, so I never had that moment with any of my siblings, but it definitely is a really, really cool to see. I just actually went and checked 'cause I was curious. They didn't even play the same 60 though.
No, they
That's a little
didn't. And we
disappointing.
were joking about that. I was joking with their parents because I interviewed them before the match. I was like, because I had seen that they weren't playing the exact same 60. I was like, is it going to be a bit of a bragging rights thing of like, see, I told you my 60 was the better 60? And they, so it's, just a bit of fun there. But yeah,
Yeah,
congratulations to
definitely.
Annabelle. Super cool story. Congratulations to Kinji as well. And you could tell they interviewed both of them together after the match was over. And Kinji's reaction was, I'm so happy for Annabelle. So just
Yeah.
a super cool, sweet, feel good moment, right?
Yeah, they both like really looked happy on stage. And then even I think in the award ceremony, they both were like holding hands at the end as well. I believe when they're holding their trophies. So yeah,
Yeah.
super sick storyline in the juniors division as well. Um, but going back to Masters, we talked about Bradner taking the whole thing down. Riley getting second. I've actually played against Riley, I think, a couple times now, and has always played like super well, super clean against me. But yeah, this is like Riley's first big finish. I don't know how long Riley's been playing either because I went to Limitless and checked, and it's only had like accomplishments from like the last two seasons. So I don't know how long Riley's been playing, but
Yeah,
this
we
is
had
the big one for sure.
his accomplishments that we had on the broadcast. A lot of them were from the seniors division.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
and he's someone who I like recognized his face from walking around at top tables at tournaments. So like he's someone
Yeah.
who's performed well and like had solid runs at regionals and stuff. But I mean, this is by far the biggest finish for him, like not even close. And he also had what I think a lot of people were calling like one of the craziest plays that we've ever seen on a broadcast, like just full awareness of the situation, where he passed instead of attacking toward whenever Riley was turn 2 of time, making toward off of an Iono need a really specific set of cards to win the game and not giving him access to Pheasantipity. Then if Tor didn't attack, that meant that Riley would have the game winning play on essentially turn 4.
Yeah.
After plus 3 turns, if you're tied on prizes, you go until someone is ahead on prizes. And that is exactly what happened. So I mean, that was a super, super sick play. And I think it even caught Tord off guard whenever it happened.
Would have put Riley up what, like 1 prize card, and then Tor could have got 2 prize cards on the next turn or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I
Or
saw.
Tord with his draw would have been able to, I think Riley could have taken 2, but Tord would have probably been able to win the game.
Like, gets a 3 prize turn?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I saw a Grant tweet about that, typing up the play on Twitter. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, Grant or not Grant, Tord with the straight Pult. I definitely would say like a little bit of an innovative list though for sure. Brings the Badoo, or not the Badoo, brings the double Monkey Dory. Excuse me. Of course, brought the Badoo. Brings the double Monkey Dory, which I guess, like, I don't know. Maybe Dragapults are just like, well, if the Gardevoirs are playing 3 of them, maybe I should start adding more to my deck.
Yeah,
So we see
yeah.
double Monkey Dory, and then the Maractus, which isn't something new to Dragapult, but I feel like is generally paired with the Genesect. But Tord playing the Neo Upper, no Arvins, doesn't have the tools for that. The tool cards for the Genesect, but still includes the Maractus as a disruptive Pokemon to include in the deck, which, I don't know, Maractus is just kind of good with Pult. You're trying to slow things down to eventually get to your Dragapult. And then with the Neo Upper Energy, you can like take a turn off, but then still attack with Dragapult on a sooner turn. I guess without the Rescue Board, though, the Maractus can get stuck. But if you're winning the game, it doesn't really matter. Like if you're just winning through corner, possibly. This is 2 turn. Oh no, we have Latias. We have Latias. Excuse me. We do have Latias to move. And I was like, and Turo. So we can move the Maractus around a decent amount. He's not stuck.
Yeah, Tord told us in an interview like he was going back to his old ways, straightforward, consistent, no frills deck really here.
Yeah.
4 bosses orders, 3 counter catcher, really I think leaning
Justin.
into the Maractus a little bit with that and the Badoo. Like sometimes using Badoo alongside Gust is just as good as using Maractus alongside
Yeah.
Gust, right? Like it equally buys you a turn, gives you a chance to establish your board, get to the big Dragapults that are difficult to KO, and start spreading damage. Yeah, one of my favorite posts I saw from the weekend was Eliza here quote tweeting towards, Tord posted about his deck, of course. And Eliza said, I faced Tord round 2, asked him how he was feeling about the event. He looked at his deck, he looked in my eyes. This is the most prepared I've felt in years. I knew I was cooked. And sure enough, Tord gets top 4. Sick run.
Yeah, sick run for Tord. Eventually gets taken down by a Gardevoir. I don't even know who Tord lost to. Did Tord lose to Riley? Tord lost to Riley, right?
Yeah, with the pass play.
Yeah, with the pass. Oh, that's right. You mentioned it. Yeah, Tord with the pass play. And then another Gardevoir in top 4, Greg Minkley, who has had top cuts before, but I think this is Greg's biggest achievement for sure. With this top 4 here at an NAIC. And I think playing the most vanilla of the Gardevoir lists for sure.
Bro, I can't believe you're not even gonna shout out who
Shout out.
Greg is to you, bro. Greg is
Great.
like one of Azul's most dedicated Twitch mods in every single stream.
Well, I usually don't say anything, and I usually just let it. If someone wants to say something, they can. But yeah, I've known Greg for a while. Seeing him get the top 4 here is pretty sick for sure. So it was really cool to see that. I sat next to him at EUIC. He was up there. We were both like 6-0 at some point for sure. So he's been making it up there recently. Seeing him get a big finish here is definitely sick for sure. And I hope we see more from him from the future. He's like he plays a decent amount of Pokemon. He seems pretty dedicated to the game still. So it's cool to see him get this run with the Gardevoir, which I think he's been playing for forever now. It's like all he
Yeah.
plays is Gardevoir. He's been playing it. I don't know when he locked it in, but yeah, definitely playing I would say the most vanilla of the builds. Honestly, this kind of just looks like the. Wait, I didn't even realize. Yeah, it's no Arvin TM Evo. This is literally just
It-
not quite, but it's almost the Brent 60.
I heard someone call it the Brixty 9.
Is it one card different? There's a Badoo in here,
Yeah.
which I don't think Brent played, unless I'm forgetting. Maybe did Brent? No, Brent did play Badoo, right? It was a Badoo and Cleffa. But yeah, it is the bricks. Oh, so there's another candy in here. There's 3 candy, which makes sense. Being a little bit faster is never bad, right?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, congrats to Greg, of course. Another Gardevoir cut. And one of the coolest stories, I think, to me was Ray Chin getting top cut at this event. So
Another top cut.
this deck,
Toedscruel.
Toedscruel, of course, Ray Chin, totally unknown player until 2 weeks ago when she went on a crazy run at Portland Regionals, made top cut, did lose an ASIM, but with a totally unknown rogue deck, something that we haven't seen. Like it used to be a lot more common that someone would show up with something wacky like this, have a deep run, make top cut. Wouldn't quite necessarily win the tournament, but it'd be a cool story, right? It hasn't really been like that for a couple years. Every once in a while, we see something cool and unique pop up, but not quite to like this level where it's a crazy archetype that no one was even considering as a competitive deck. Ray shows up, top
Yep.
cuts Portland. Maybe a couple people pick it up afterwards. Doesn't really do too much. We actually saw in round 1 of this tournament a player playing it on stream at
Yep.
NAIC. But overall, not a deck that anyone really picked up and respected. But Ray played almost the same 60, decided to run it back, and got another top cut at the biggest tournament of all time. Like, such a sick story.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And like you said, yeah, we don't see that very much anymore. We don't see the I mean, it's just the landscape of the game has just changed, right? It's just harder to be successful with the rogue decks. And yeah, you mentioned it was a pretty big. I mean, you got to feel bad for Raz, but it was a pretty big moment on like the. It was actually just a big moment
Yeah.
on the stream. The throw from Raz. What was it? Raz used Arvin when
He
he should have used research to try and dig for the win, and like the
No, no,
Arvin never
no.
leads to the win, was it?
Dude, no. It was way worse than that.
Oh no.
He top decked boss's orders for game
Oh no.
and played the Arvin. And before he even picked his deck up, he like threw his hands on his head and threw his head back because he realized that he had top decked boss for game, like the
Oh,
game
so
winning card.
he didn't have a realization that he had game with the new card. And
I
I was like,
guess
"Well,
is
I
what
guess
it
I'm just
was.
playing Arvin this turn, I guess. Here we go." I thought he had a research in hand and was like and was initially just like, "Play Arvin. Oh, wait, I can't win off Arvin. I could have won off research."
No, it's way worse than that.
Oh,
Literally
man.
game winning card in hand, plays the
Yeah.
wrong one.
And then I thought he won anyways when he got the Night Treacher deck. I was like, "Oh, he just wasn't sure if Night Treacher was prize or not." So he thought he had to research to try and find multiple cards as opposed to just get the Night Treacher. But then, because I thought there was enough damage on board, but you can't really tell fully from watching in the crowd and looking at the screen. But I thought he actually recovered, but it did end up being a tie. But definitely, yeah, big moment on stream. Even if it was tragic for Raz.
It was
For sure.
tough for sure.
But yeah, the Toedscruel sick. It was super sick to see Ray get the run back. I mean, this like sometimes you see these decks do well, like even get like a top cut, and you're just like, but back to back top cuts. Now I don't know. The format changes for Worlds, so I don't know if Toedscruel still got it like that going into World Championships. But Ray Chen, 3 top cuts in a row at Worlds with
I don't think
Toedscruel.
Ray qualified for Worlds, buddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even with these back to back cuts?
Nope.
One win away, so
Yeah, one more
close.
win and they get the auto invite
Oh,
from or the direct qualification
yeah,
from getting top 4, but no,
that is unfortunate.
I do not believe that they have an invite. Yeah, which is sad to see. It would be a cool story to be able to follow.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. Like, I don't know the story of like if Ray had played in many other events throughout the year. Doesn't seem like that's the case. If off of these 2 tournaments, she wasn't able to
Because top 8 at IC is like what?
a
Like
zillion points.
400 points or something?
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
lot.
lot.
It
I'm
is a
trying to
lot.
find her name on the leaderboard, and I don't see it. It might be like a screen name instead of
Yeah.
her actual name, but I'm in the 700s and I can't find it.
Well, I guess it's the Toedscruel's journey maybe ends here. We'll see. Maybe someone picks it up for Worlds. Of course, stuff is changing going to the World Championship, so who knows what the plays will be. We take a look at
Definitely.
keep
Yep.
moving through top cut here. There was one Grimmsnarl cut, which was I wouldn't say I don't even think Grimmsnarl was that hyped going to the tournament, but it was the big new deck, right? And it
And
was
it
like
was
12. Maybe we should go back actually. Let's go look at the metagame.
It was the second most popular deck, yes,
Yeah,
and
or go to labs.
I'm getting
Well,
there,
it
buddy.
was the
Hey,
second most
let
popular
let
deck.
me you calm down, let me
It
drive.
was it was the second most popular deck because there was a little bit of a you guys switched it up a little bit. I saw for the meta breakdowns, which I'm not against, but you split all the Dragapult variants up into straight Dragapult, Charizard Dragapult, and Dusknoir Dragapult.
I think
So
that's oh, yeah,
on the
maybe, I don't
graphic,
know.
yeah, on the graphic they were split up. So like Raging Bolt was number one by a lot, or I guess it was over Grimmsnarl by 4%.
Yeah.
Um, but then the Dragapults were like 5 and 6, Zard and Dusknoir, and then plain Dragapult wasn't quite there, but it was probably the one off the chart, number 7 or something like that.
No, here we see it on Limitless Labs. Yeah, Raging Bolt leading the way. Grimmsnarl, yeah, second most popular deck, and I feel like it's been a while since we've had a new set come out, and then a deck from the new set is just out of the box. One of the top 3 decks,
Yep,
really, since like Terapagos, I feel like. Like, I
a
don't
little
think
bit.
anything came out of Surging Sparks that was immediately at the top that I can
And
remember, at
even then, I feel
least.
like Terapagos, I feel like it needed a little bit of time to ramp up. I think a lot of people were hating on the deck, like on release, if I remember correctly.
It's definitely one of the better conversion rates into actual play
Yeah,
from a new release deck that we've seen in a while. Um,
I do think Grimstar was, yeah, we only got like the one top 8, like I mentioned. Um, what else was I gonna say? It did have a decent target on its back as well going into the tournament. It wasn't like extremely hyped, but I feel like it was like the deck people were looking at to be like, well, I
Everyone
want
had
to play a
tested
type of
against
Grimstar.
Grimmsnarl.
Yeah,
Everyone was prepared for Grimmsnarl.
which actually
No,
maybe like I think one of the reasons it was so popular is maybe because we did get the card like a month earlier than we like normally would have, right? Because
it's
it came
probably
out in the
part of it.
Marnies. So it came out a month early on PTCG Live, so that more people were comfortable with it. But that probably also led to uh, a little bit more of people probably teching for it with how early it was available to us. Because I don't know if the hype from Japan alone would have carried it to like a 12% play rate going into the tournament if it wasn't released a month ahead of all the other cards. So I don't know. I feel like all those could be like factors for Grimmsnarl's success and popularity overall. Um, but yeah, if we go back to the meta breakdown, yeah, so like Raging Bolt was effectively the number one deck if we're breaking up the Dragapult archetypes, of course. Then Grimmsnarl, then Gardevoir, Eevee Box, and then the Dragapult decks get involved there. Dragapult, Dusknoir, Dragapult, Charizard. Um, which yeah, probably not super big. Actually, maybe it's a little bit of a surprise to see them. Playing Pult I thought was going to be more popular. Um, was down there at 3% under the Golden Go variants.
Yeah, which is a little interesting because it was the more popular way by the end of last format, right?
Yeah,
Straight Pult had gotten more popular than Dusknoir. But I think for the meta, a lot of people felt like Dragapult Charizard was better positioned.
yeah. Maybe that, I feel like that's where most of the plain Pult players went over
Yeah.
to Dragapult Charizard. The Nor believers, I feel like, are like tried and true. You know, they're like committed. You talk
Committed
to
to the bit.
yeah, you talk to any Dusknoir Pult player, and they think they're favored into every matchup by like 30% or something.
If we group the variants together, you see Dragapult is still overall the most popular deck, just by a very thin margin, actually. Only
Yeah,
4 player difference there.
yeah. Over the Raging Ball, yeah, very very small margin for sure. Um,
Actually, a lot of Cynthia's Garchomp in the room as well, which was a bit of,
I
a
wonder
surprise. There was kind of a big European contingent that played Cynthia's Garchomp this weekend.
did Fabian actually play it?
Yeah, Fabian played it. Daniel Magda played it.
Mm.
Medi Hafi played it.
It was interesting. There was like an invitational tournament that happened Wednesday before the tournament, and Fabian played it there. I think a lot. I mean, I bet some players looked at that and that maybe like inspired players to pick it up or to like commit to playing it at NAIC. To be honest, um, oh, and got into the top 64.
2K deck,
Um,
buddy.
2K deck,
He made more money than you did.
yeah. And he did talk about it as being like a deck. He's like he said. I think he said the interview at the invitational tournament. He said Raging Bolt matchup is bad, but besides that, the deck is like good against the Dragapults, the Gardevoirs, Grimmsnarls, stuff like that. So it's good against what the better players are going to play, right? Which is it's a good reason to play a deck. Or it's not a bad reason to play a deck, I guess I should say. I don't know how you want to put it, but definitely interesting. I wonder if we'll see more of this moving forward. It's hard to tell for sure because there's like a new set coming out before Worlds. There's no major tournament after this to actually look at, unfortunately. Which is also like one of the kind of the I like new sets coming out with ICs. I think it makes for a more interesting experience and stuff like that. But for NAIC specifically, it feels like almost like a wasted format. Like we got all these new cards, first big tournament happens, and new set before Worlds for the next big major tournament, right? So it almost feels like a wasted format, a wasted set release. Even I guess even with that as well, like one of the things I feel like we've talked to a lot recently is like these big tournaments get a lot of players into the game. A lot of players are gonna watch an IC, look at an IC, be like, oh, I'm gonna get into the game, and there's nothing to play at.
Well,
So
there are
locals,
locals starting up
yeah,
in
sure, sure,
In
sure.
July, right? I think cups and challenges pick back up in July, so like that'll be an opportunity for players to kind of build on the format. But I mean, Black Bolt, White Flare come out very soon, like a month
That's a
from now,
month,
right?
month from now. Yeah, well, we've seen the cards in action this weekend. I don't think we mentioned that, but they're going to be played at the Japan Championships. And for Singapore, they should be playing NAIC format. Singapore's the week after. I assume they're playing NAIC
Yeah.
format, not black and white set.
Let's get
Um,
back to the deck lists from Top Cut here with Piper. So, as someone who played Grimmsnarl this weekend, what do you think of her inclusions here and how they compared to what you decided to go with?
I mean, there's nothing too much crazy. My build, I kind of just went away from or try to like max out like the counts of just like the cards you use every single game. So like I think like the biggest exclusion from my list compared to everyone else's list was Badoo. I just feel like you never use that card and you don't really want to in play against like any matchup. It's like kind of cool sometimes against uh what is it? Raging Bolt. That's about it. But even then that matchup is really weird where you're just kind of playing through Frost Last to begin with and item lock your opponent doesn't matter that much. So yeah, but I would say there's nothing too crazy here. There's the energy search in here, which is also a card that I came to as well. Instead of the vessel, because it makes your secret box combo a lot smoother, a lot cleaner if you need an energy off it. And I really hated giving up the vessel, but I definitely felt it in the tournament. I finally did some testing with the energy search over the vessel the couple days leading up to the tournament. Came to the conclusion, along with some back and forth with Caleb, that energy search seemed like the better card over vessel just for that turn one secret box combo. And yep, definitely felt it in the tournament. Had a couple secret boxes that went super smooth because the energy search was there and I didn't have to discard another card to find my energy. And then also, I didn't play any nest ball. And I think that's something that I would change about my list moving forward. Especially in the place. I think like I played the 4 Impid Imp. I think the 4th Impid Imp was kind of overkill. I definitely missed Rescue Board as well. It's like another card that I would include. Like leading up to the tournament, I was pretty set off of Rescue Board. It felt pretty low value, especially without playing Badoo. But I think the card is still probably worth the inclusion. And then we see like 2 nest balls in here, which I would call a high nest ball count for Grimmsnarl, I guess. But we saw a lot of players doing that. I think even the Ian Robb and Tim Franklin's list, I think they both played the same 60, had like 3 nest balls in it. So we saw people moving away from stuff like the artisans and going down to like one buddy poffin. I think Piper still had 2 buddy poffin. But I do like the
Yes.
idea of the heavier nest ball count, to be honest. I do actually like that. And we see with like lists like this, if you play the heavy nest ball count, all of a sudden including something like Pheasantipity actually becomes like an option, right? Because if you're playing like the list that I played with 0 nest balls, I mean, you can play Pheasantipity, but you can't find the thing. So what's the point of playing the thing? But once you include these heavy counts in S balls, it's like, all right, you can all of a sudden play something like the Pheasantipity, which is interesting. I don't know if I like it or not, but it's something to experiment with for sure further. I think there's a lot more to like play with as far as Grimmsnarl goes. Definitely.
Nestball lets you also get the best card in the format into play.
Monkey Dory. Monkey Dory.
Absolutely.
More
And
house
that's
than
what
Monkey
it's
Dory.
really what it's all about right now. Most of the rest of like the top 32 and stuff is like Dragapult and
Couple.
stuff. Well, let's look at the Zoroark deck from Cameron Chenoy and then
Yeah,
also Nathan Ginsburg Flareon. So starting with Zoroark. So this is a deck I think a lot of people just kind of had counted out of the format pretty much right
definitely.
away. It was a bit of a flash in the pan in the last format to start with, right? Like
Yeah.
it was okay. It had its moment. It did really well in Milwaukee, right? But then after that, kind of fell off for Portland. But Cameron Chenoy decided to roll up with it and got a top 8 finish. Really interesting stuff going on here as well. Just a 1/1 Darmanitan.
Yeah. I mean, Shaman's in the format. Shaman actually wasn't actually played that much overall. Like, not all of the Gardevoirs played it. Um, Most of the Grimmsnarls played it, I guess. Grimmsnarl played it, and some Pults played it. I guess Pult Zard not playing it kind of makes sense because as long as you get down double Charmander, if they Baby Bolt, Candy Zard is still available, which is like one of your best options into the Raging Bolt matchup, as long as you can get down double Charmander to protect from the Baby Bolt snipe. So, yeah, there wasn't actually that much Shaman. I don't know if that would have led to if Cameron had made that call and would have maybe played a thicker Darmanitan line, but it probably not, to be honest. So yeah, just a 1/1 Darmanitan. I assume is also probably a pretty good attacking option into the Golden Go matchup to have that as just an option outside of being able to use it for sniping. But yeah, Zoroark is definitely not something I thought would have done very well. Definitely a surprise to me. I'm not sure how I feel about it overall in the format. That's like one of the things that's kind of it almost doesn't matter because this format isn't gonna. There's no major tournament coming up. There's no point where it's like, okay, will this be good next week? Is this something worth trying out 2 weeks from now for the next major tournament? It's like, I mean, if you want to play it on PTCG Live and online tournaments, or if you're going to locals, trying it out for that, it's like one thing. But there's nothing to like kind of set as like a benchmark for like, will this be good moving forward? Because we're getting a new set. Who knows what's going to be good for the World Championships? I mean, the first indicator of good potential decks to look at will be the Japan Championships with the new set coming out. And there's like some pretty high impact cards coming out in that set. So definitely a surprise, but moving forward, who knows for Zoroark? I hope there's more to be done there. It's cool to see it still succeed, which despite Shaman being in the format. So it gives me hope for Zoroark in the future for sure. And yeah, congrats to Cameron on the top 8 for sure.
And then let's look at Nathan Ginsburg with the Flareon here. This is a deck I liked a lot going into the weekend. And after we ended our podcast last week, you were kind of hype on the idea of trying it out.
Yeah.
I remember you saying you were going to try it out on your stream at the beginning of the week, and then you ended up playing Grimmsnarl. So I'm assuming trying out Flareon did not go super well for you.
Yeah, basically I tried out Flareon, I tried out Joltik. None of the decks felt good. Grimmsnarl was the only deck that felt good to me. I think they were still both like Joltik Box and Flareon Box, I think were both pretty good plays overall into the weekend. I'm not surprised to see success here. Um from the Eevee Box. Ginsburg is also a pretty good player. So good deck, good player. It's a good combination for some success, of course. And the only real standout card I guess I see here is the Gravity Mountain. I feel like the Jamming Tower was always like an iffy third stadium to begin with. So goes with the Gravity Mountain, which honestly makes a lot of sense because you want to play a third stadium to be able to bump your own area zero to remove your own liabilities. Also having like another out for the Watchtower is kind of cool. Jamming Tower is really not that good against Gardevoir, despite what you might think. But one of the most powerful Pokemon they can use against you in situations is the Gardevoir EX, which is like an argument to run the Umbreon. The problem with the Umbreon is like you see it coming from like a mile away as the Gardevoir player because like set up a whole Flareon or a whole Eevee Pokemon to attack with is not easy. And if you leave your energy on a Eevee or an Eevee EX, they can always just target that down instead. So the Umbreon is not a great answer, but honestly, the Gravity Mountain's kind of cool because then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's no Umbreon in sight. I'm gonna go attack with my Gardevoir EX, and you're like, haha, Gravity Mountain knockout with Flareon. So that's actually a pretty cool innovation, to be honest, for the matchup. I bet Gardevoir is still favored, but it gives you a little bit to work with, especially when Jamming Tower is really not that good in the matchup to begin with.
Yeah, and still gives you that off stadium, like you said, right?
Yeah,
Which you
so
probably
not
want.
that's like the most important part is having like a non-area zero stadium in the build to begin with. So, and Jamming Tower always felt pretty mid.
Pretty nice little innovation. And then I guess we'll close out looking at Yerko. Vince Owen here as well at 16th with the Raging Bolt. Most popular deck still did have a top cut placement.
Yeah, and E-switch. But we've
Yeah.
seen that before. Nothing crazy. And Vince's list, once again, nothing crazy. Opted for the Turo instead of the Iron Leaves, which actually I really like that. Uh, I believe Grant Manley played that as well, the Turo over the Iron Leaves. And like in the games we played up leading up to the tournament a little bit, the Turo would definitely felt pretty impactful. Whereas like the Iron Leaves, yeah, the Iron Leaves doesn't really make that big of a difference in the Grimmsnarl matchup, to be honest. You just need a switch card or like a mobility card for sure. That's not Prime Catcher. But yeah, having Iron Leaves doesn't make a big difference. The only reason you'd probably want Iron Leaves is maybe
Where the
if there
heck
was like a
is
lot of Charizard.
Grant
But
decided against Energy Switch?
yeah, I decided against the energy switch in the end.
I got dinner with Grant and Caleb and them on Thursday night, I guess it was, and Grant was talking about the Energy Switch. So I was surprised to see he didn't have it.
Yeah, didn't end up going with it. It's not like a super consistently high impact card. So it's like on the first turn, he went with the Bravery Charm instead, I think, was like he was what he was choosing between. The Bravery Charm's a little bit more consistently a factor throughout games. Whereas like the E-Switch is like you can have like some weird moments in the mid late game, but it's like kind of for that turn 1 or turn 2 going first Raging Baby Bolt play.
You didn't want to run Raging Bolt with the boys?
No. I was definitely if I was, it was between Raging Bolt and Grimmsnarl, definitely playing the Grimmsnarl. I just wish I had like locked it in sooner. It's like it kind of makes me disappointed in like my thought process leading to the tournament because like if you had asked me 2 weeks before NAIC what I was playing, I would have said Grimmsnarl. But then when we got like a week away, I was like, oh, I don't know, Grimmsnarl maybe. But so I wish I just like post our podcast the week before NAIC or
Ooh.
even a couple days before that. I wish I just like locked in Grimmsnarl like that. I don't know, Thursday or Friday before NAIC, the weekend before that weekend, and then just grinded Grimmsnarl for like 4 or 5 days straight. That's where I ended up anyways. But things to think about and improve on or to apply to future preparation for tournaments for sure.
I guess one more thing that we can talk about real quick before we recap our predictions. I saw someone we talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, how this was probably going to happen soon. And it did indeed happen at this tournament. Gardevoir, the first Pokemon deck of all time, archetype, I should say, to earn over $1 million from tournament winnings. And it's not even close to how far ahead it is of Lugia.
Yep. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. I'm trying to think when Lugia came out initially, it was really good. It was good, but not as good as Gardevoir throughout its whole lifespan. But Gardevoir came out really good. Gardevoir, how many times did Gardevoir become a quote unquote unplayable deck or a bad deck?
It was a
Every
bad deck for this tournament, man.
Yeah, every set release. Well, I don't know about that. Even I was saying when we were doing our tier list, I was like, I think this should probably be in tier 1. Like, well, one as soon as we as we were like fleshing out our thoughts on everything, we're like talking about, I was
Yeah.
like, I think we should put this in tier 1. Um, is how we ended it. You seemed more confident in it being tier 2, where we ended up with it in the list. But I was like, I don't know. The more we think about this and talk about this, it's like the only new matchup is Grimmsnarl, and like it's unfavored, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
Grimmsnarl also taking a little bit of heat off Gardevoir, right? You know, it became I feel like more people were worried about Grimmsnarl than Gardevoir going to this tournament for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
People just keep counting Gardevoir out. It keeps showing up. It keeps getting wins. I think probably safe to call the most successful card in maybe the history of the game. Is it safe to put it above Zoroark GX, right? I mean, just like by the numbers, earnings, if we go by, can we go by what?
I mean,
Top eight finishes,
one thing to
tournament
think about.
wins.
So one thing to think about with that as well, the prize pools have increased.
And if we do look at tournament wins,
Ooh, my
Zoroark is
goodness.
ahead by a lot. So
That I think
that's
that has to be the number we look at, right?
true. Yeah.
But
I did not know
now,
what this number looked like.
so one thing that is fair with that as well, I don't even know if this is actually 100% true. I was gonna say there was more tournaments back then, but I'm actually not sure if that's true because I think we have maybe more European majors and more Latin American majors, even if we have less North American majors. So maybe it about evens out, to be honest. Because if there's more tournaments for the deck to win, and also there was like I don't know, some of those SPs had like 50 players, and I don't know if Zork's picking up dubs at those. I don't know. There's a little bit of there's some things to think about for sure, I guess, as far as that
Some
goes.
discrepancies there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also Zork's lifespan is way longer because it was an expanded. Hold up, we can't forget
Oh,
about that.
true.
It's got a
True.
way longer lifespan. It definitely picked up some dubs and expanded. There's one from Ian.
Can I
Um,
see formats? Standard.
Standard. Okay. What does this look like?
Zork
Okay.
42 wins.
It's still it only picked up 7 expanded wins. But it closes the gap a little bit. Oh, Charizard has more than Gardevoir. I didn't even realize that.
I feel like Gardevoir will pass Charizard because they'll both rotate at the same time. They're part of the same block, right? So Gardevoir's got what 9 months to pass Charizard. I feel like that'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to bet on one of the decks, you're definitely betting on Gardevoir, right?
And
That's for
also,
sure.
speaking of bets and on cards that are rotating soon, it's going to be close between our Cleffa versus Pidgeot conversation from back when.
Wait, does Pidgeot rotate next rotation?
Yeah,
Wait, actually?
yeah, Pidgeot and Cleffa
I thought
both
we had
gone,
one
buddy.
more. We don't have one more year? Are you sure?
No, I'm pretty sure, dude.
I feel
They'll
like we have
rotate
one
at the
more
same
year.
time as Charizard. What's this? A G regulation mark? Is that the format we're in right now? G on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pidgeot came out in Obsidian Flames? I thought it came out the set after.
No, it came out in Obsidian Flames.
Man. Interesting.
Yep, G regulation.
Yeah, I guess. Where are we sitting as far as that goes? I mean, I think Pidgeot probably has the edge for sure.
It's probably pretty close. I wonder, is there like a
I don't think there's a metric on here we could
Pidgeot
scale it
just
by.
won NAIC, bro? Oh, and Cleffa.
Yeah. It's just about if it's in the deck. There is 2 Pidgeot in there. That's because Clef is a basic. That's one of the powers of the Cleffa.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the Brixty brought up Cleffa's.
It did. You got a big boost in the fourth quarter there, buddy.
Shout out Brent for that one for sure. But I think I would still give Pidgeot the edge. Pidgeot control. There's so many other decks that Pidgeot's been played in. So, people even putting it in Pult at times as well.
Did we put anything on that ever?
No, I don't think so. If we did, I've forgotten about it.
Someone go back
But
and look, because if Azul owes me
not
like
out of convenience though.
if Azul owes me $1,000 or something, I want to know. I don't think we bet $1,000 on it. All right,
No, I
let's
don't think so.
recap our predictions from last week. First one, pick a player to make top cuts. Azul picked Daniel Magda. I
didn't know about
Ian
the Garchomp
Robb.
though.
Didn't know about the Garchomp.
No, honestly, I don't think Garchomp was like a terrible play. Like I don't hate the mindset. That's what I was thinking of, like in terms of stuff like Joltik Box as well. It's like lose to the Raging Bolt, or like that's your bad matchup, but you're kind of good against the top half. What the better players are gonna play on average.
So both of those players did make day 2. Ian played Grimmsnarl. Ian got 99th, and Daniel Magda on the Garchomp got 204th place. So neither made top cut. I was a little closer.
I mean, it's a double or an L. That's a double L.
They both
Next.
entered day 2 at X21, so we were both dead from the start there.
Yeah. No potential.
Next one was highest placing Rockets Mewtwo.
The answer is top 256.
No, it's not. It's top 512, buddy.
Oh, 512, excuse me. Yeah, my bad. I knew it was outside. We neither of us got it right. Yeah, 512, 512, not 256.
You guessed top 256. I guessed top 64. I have no clue why. I think I was
only one win away though. I think it was 300 and somethingth place. I don't know why I saw this earlier. Someone was tweeting. Oh, because Jake Gearhart put a tweet out about Mewtwo. That's why. That's why I saw it.
Yeah, I was looking earlier because I knew we were going to talk about it. Yes. David Torres got 294th with it.
That's about a win away, right? Like if they had one more win.
Let's see.
Now you pass it.
Oh. Wait, what?
There you go.
Andres Torres. So on Limitless Labs, it's Andres Torres, but on Limitless, it's Andres David. I just read the last 2. I didn't read the Andres.
Oh,
okay. That's me. Dang, lost the last 2. Come on, Andres. Needed you for the top 64.
One double. Wait, 2. Oh, I guess, yeah, with 2 more dubs. Wait. Yeah, that would have been top 64. Wait, maybe close. It might still been 128.
Look at this. The Rockets Mewtwo deck played against 2 Ethan's Typhlosions.
Beat?
Oh, the
Honestly,
world
that
champ. Did you see what Fernando played?
No.
Fernando Cifuentes, our world champ.
Lissy? What is this?
You didn't see this deck? Oh, I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. My bad. I saw this deck on Twitter last week.
Is this? Oh, this is the Crisis Punch deck. Yeah, who posted about this on Twitter? I saw this on Twitter as well.
Yeah, so basically the idea with this deck is that on the second turn of the game, you blow up Fortress and Dusknoir, get your opponent down to 1 prize card.
Yep.
Iono them to 1, Watchtower, and then Iron Thorns in the active initialization. They can't use their abilities, and Crisis Punch till you win the game.
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, oh yeah, I guess like Dusknoir could draw you a prize card or 2, and then you have Bronzong in here to just kind of beat. Bronzong probably just beat some decks by itself. I don't know what it beat. Maybe it's just to slow them down though.
Everything that evolves plays evolution though.
True, but you force them to go through team. Maybe you just want that extra turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shot.
Shout outs to the world champ right there, baby.
Yep.
Sticking with his boy Iron Thorns.
Yeah, sticking with the Thorns. Giving it another go.
And then last one, what will we picked one of the top testing groups, the Latin America group. what deck would they decide to play for the event? Azul said Grimmsnarl. I said Eevee Box, and I somehow was right. They did play Eevee Box to the event.
Were they all on it? Azevedo, Petrucci,
And Raphael, yeah.
yeah, the Eevee box. Yeah, I mean it's not a huge shock. It definitely seemed like a pretty solid play going into the tournament. Um, would have been tough to have one with it. It feels like at the end, like getting through the Gardevoirs at the end would have been tough. But uh, yeah, it is cool to see them not playing Charizard still. Love that. Love that. Big fan.
They've
Did they
moved
have any?
on.
Did they have anything crazy in their list? Not really, right?
Nothing super crazy, I don't think. Just 2 stadiums.
Yeah, they didn't play the
Um,
third stadium. Didn't play the bump.
no trumpets, but not everyone plays trumpet anyway.
And no one was playing the trumpet, man. I was a huge fan. When I tried the trumpet, I was like, wait, this thing is sick. You can do so much with this.
Trumpet is also a way you can make the Umbreon in 1 turn,
That is true. You have to also, yeah, you have to play the
for whatever
Umbreon as
that is
well.
worth.
Not very much. Not very much. And it works really well with Cyrano. That's what I found. Is like it's cool to be able to play Cyrano plus trumpet for your turn. Like that
Mhm.
combo specifically was kind of cool because you could get your Fez, get your this, your that, whatever, and then trumpet to get your energy. But,
All right. Well, that is NAIC. Let's also quickly just do some end of season numbers stuff. I guess first we should mention they released some more information about Worlds. And real quickly, we'll just point out they did announce that there is going to be a Pocket Open Championships tournament at the World Championships this year.
yeah, that's cool to see for sure. I don't know. I mean, I hope this like leads to more stuff. And it is. I'm actually thankful to see. It basically is it. If I understand this correctly, they're basically doing conquest format, right?
Double deck format. Players will use 2 different decks to win 2 games with no Pokemon shared across both decks. So you, yeah, have to win with both of your decks.
It doesn't say that. So you could theoretically win 2 games. You could like just queue up the same deck twice. I feel like.
Oh,
Um,
maybe that will be
is my
specified
understanding.
in with the deeper rule set or something.
Yeah, we'll
I feel like
see.
that's probably the intention with a tool, because otherwise, why wouldn't you just say,
Because then it allows you to like, it's like, oh, I just
"Oh,
hit a bad
counter
matchup.
deck"?
I guess I just
Yeah.
lose. It's like I
Okay,
hit the bad
sure.
matchup. So it's like okay, because yeah, there's not as much depth to pocket sometimes in terms of like what you can do in a matchup, right? The Pokemon in like the full game, the Pokemon TCG, you have more odds of winning bad matchups for sure. And then on top of that, the metagame of Pokemon Pocket is a little bit less diverse. So I feel like this adds a lot to the depth of the competition, having the double deck. Even if it's not for anyone who doesn't know what conquest format is, conquest you have to win with both decks. From just reading this, it sounds like you just have to win 2 games, and you bring 2 decks, so you both just queue up against each other, and you can play deck 1 or deck 2. And then even if you win with deck 1, you could run it back with deck 1 if you want. But if your opponent, and I'm curious actually to know, do you know what your opponent's decks are, or do you just see the like? Is it open?
Yeah, there's surely gonna be more information released about this.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, very
Yeah, it'll be
cool.
interesting.
It does happen in the middle of the day on Saturday, so no one who makes day 2 at Worlds will be able to play. A little bit of a bummer there, but that's just kind of the nature of, like, what Worlds is right now, which is mostly the tournament, and then, like, all this side stuff happening, like, the competitive and, like, Worlds qualifier players don't really get to do anything with. I feel like at some point in the future, we'll see things change. I don't know. This stuff just gets bigger and bigger every year. They add more and more stuff. I feel like we're moving towards like this eventually being a full blown convention.
Yeah.
And then it would be
Also,
cool to like see something like this happening on Wednesday, like where
yeah.
people could like you could go play in it if you wanted to.
Well,
Take
hopefully this just ends up them having a competitive part of the circuit now. They just join the competitive circuit. And we see at the bottom there, number of rounds will be determined by attendance. So then there's going to be top cut. No prize wall tickets awarded, but additional prizes for top cut finishes the top 8 and the champion of the event. So there's going to be, it's definitely supposed to be bigger than like a side event, you know?
yeah.
It is kind of unfortunate that they are just announcing it now. I think there probably would have been a lot of players, pocket players, who would have tried to go to Worlds and play in this and try to get spectator badges or passes, which you probably can't anymore if they knew about it. So,
No, yeah, I don't think you
um,
can.
but hopefully this. So that kind of sucks for the pocket community. I bet there's pocket players who now see this would have been like, "Ooh, I would have actually gone to Worlds if I had known about this." Um, But hopefully this does just lead to more for the Pocket community because I think they've been kind of missing out on the competitions for sure, and I just don't see a reason to not have them, the competitions.
Well, let's look at the final numbers for the World's Qualification Bar. North American Internationals is done, so that means the last championship point earning event of the year is done. Big shout outs to Eric Ridgway here, who compiled this unofficial top 125 North American list. Nico Albas compiled something similar for Europe as well. I don't know if anyone did any, I didn't see one for LAOC or like the Middle East, South Africa. So if anyone else did,
Yeah.
let me know and we can maybe look at it next week. But
I feel like
yeah,
OCs was
we know
probably pretty.
what the numbers look like.
I was gonna say Australia's is probably pretty easy to calculate. All the players probably knew. There's maybe like one or two players who went over to NAIC who didn't already have their invite. Probably wasn't a super large number, but yeah, we know what the numbers are now. Finally, this was like a big point going into the season, where a lot of players were like, well, I mean, a lot of people. I'd say the general sentiment towards the system was neutral to negative. I don't feel like it was like there was if people were a fan of the new system, this top 125 system, no one was really like outspoken about it, like overly outspoken about it. So like the general sentiment from the community seemed to be neutral to negative about the new system. And now we're finally getting to see the end results. And one of the big critiques of the system is just like, well, what do I have to play for? Like, or what am I playing towards to get my world's invite? And I mean, we never knew. Now we know what the end number is. Going to next season, though, if they don't change anything, it could be a little bit different still, but you have a better idea now as long as the system stays pretty similar.
Yeah, so it looks like it's around 700 points was the mark after the direct qualified players were removed from the leaderboard. And I feel like that's around the number we kind of projected all the way back last year. I feel like here, let's look at
People
the
say,
leaderboard.
were people saying 650? Is that what people were saying? Like
Maybe we did
two
say 650.
thirds?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about us, but I feel like people in the community were saying like 650, like 2/3 of the way through the season. That was like the
So last
number I
season,
heard floating around.
125th in US and Canada was last season 660.
So it's almost about the same.
It's really close, yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Well, hang on, but a lot of people
And
stopped
was there one
playing.
less kicker here as well? What was the kicker situation as well? Regionals and ICs were not combined,
And they were
right?
separate. Was it 5-3?
It may have been
4-3?
4 and 3, yeah.
They had more opportunity for points overall, I would say.
So it definitely seems like people grind it a bit more, right? Because there's more
Well,
points.
well, the thing is, once people got to 600, though, they stopped playing last season as well,
That
right?
is
600.
another thing. 500, 500.
Oh, was it 500?
Yes, dude.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So once people got to 500, they stopped playing as well. So it's hard to compare. I feel like it is hard to compare. The number did end up being around the same though for the number, but I don't. It's hard to compare because the players are going to they're going to play differently based on the system, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure you could like break it down to the point where you can like get better numbers to like work with or like think about how far people would have gone last season. But yeah, I mean now we got a number to work with headed to next season. As long as stuff stays similarly in terms of how many majors there are, number of players that make worlds. If it's 125 and then like 9 to 10 regionals again, probably it being around 700 points. People now have a goal to work with, which I think is a good thing. And I think the uncertainty and the unknown is what left people a little bit frustrated, a little bit annoyed with the system change. But now we have something to work with, which I think will lead to probably more people trying to get their world's invite next year, would be my guess. I don't think it's gonna be anything. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who attempted it this season were like about halfway through, or even maybe towards the end, they're just like, I don't like this. I don't like trying to play for my world's invite in the
Oh,
system. But
Ray Chin did get the invite. Look at that.
oh, there we go. Right,
121st,
3 in a row.
712 points. That's a
Alright,
good.
well,
Happy to see. Happy to see. My mistake earlier in the podcast.
yeah, when we make a prediction for world, I'm predicting Ray Chen for Top Cut at Worlds when we do our prediction
Let's
for that.
go.
Well, as long as she plays Toedscruel.
Only if Toedscruel is the
Yeah.
choice, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, I think we'll have a lot more. I think we'll have more people trying to get their worlds invite next year, which will make things more competitive at the lower end of the invite. So things will be more interesting going into NAIC next year. But yeah, with knowing the 125, we also know there's a tie for 25th. Was it like 8 people at 700 points?
I think it's 7 or 8. Yeah. And The tiebreaker that's been said has been play points. A lot of people were talking about this. There's actually a picture of it here. This bit that was in one of the graphics on the stream this weekend. Invitations will be awarded to all Pokemon TCG players in good standing who are greater or equal to the required leaderboard standing listed above. And players
What is
who earn direct
above?
invitations to the World Championships do not count against their rating zone's invitation slots.
What is above this?
It's the championship point graphic that says like the points required for Worlds.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen what that looks like.
This.
Oh. Equal to or above. Oh, okay. Invitations will be awarded to all Pokemon TCG players in good standing who are greater or equal to the required leaderboard standing.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean that does make it sound like anyone who is 125th, who is if they're tied for 125th, that you would get your Worlds invite.
no,
Then
it
wait,
doesn't say equal amount of points. It says equal to that leaderboard standing, equal to 125th on the leaderboard. I think is like what it is trying to say. I agree it's probably not worded the most clearly. I'm pretty sure that there is going to be that play point tiebreaker thing in
yeah,
play, and like only 125th and above on the leaderboard will get their invite. It will
mhm.
not extend down to people who are tied that have the same amount of championship points.
And
That's like
I feel
my
like we did
understanding of it. I don't know that for certain. I would say, just throwing it out there, anyone who's in that situation, which there's a lot of you who have 700 points, if you're listening to this and you're not sure, the best thing I could suggest to do would just to be submit
go back
a
in time and
support.
win a league challenge.
Yeah, go back in time, play one more league challenge. No,
Go-
stop, bro. Submit a support ticket, lay out the situation, ask about it, um, and see what kind of response you get. But I believe that it is like my understanding of things is that it is 125th and up, and that this hidden tiebreaker will play.
From the play points.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that I do believe that is represented on the leaderboard already because it's not like alphabetical
Mm.
or anything.
It feels pretty bad for play points to be the tiebreaker because, like, theoretically, like the better player is the player who actually has less play points. Like, but not for
Sure.
sure. But like, even having it be decided that way, it's like the player with the least amount of play points is the tiebreaker winner. Even that feels bad. Like, play points
You
in
get
general being the
rewarded for going
tiebreaker.
to less tournaments.
Yeah. um.
In reality,
so
they
yeah.
probably should just extend it. In a
Yeah.
perfect world, like
The only thing that would make the most sense would if there was like if they still had if they were still tracking Elo, which they did for a while despite not using it. That would be the only thing that was like seem most fair. Um, but honestly, just giving it to everyone who ties 120 isn't that how they handle travel awards? How are they doing travel awards the last couple seasons
travel
or this season?
awards. Yes, it is that play point tiebreaker.
Okay, so there's because in the
Let me
past it
see.
was
It's in the tournament rules handbook. I'm pretty sure. Let me.
okay because in the past for like travel awards and stipends and stuff, if you had the same amount of points as someone in top 16, you got the stipend.
I think that changed
Um,
this year, though, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I wasn't sure about. So yeah, if everything's just coming down to play points feels like a poor way to determine a tiebreaker. Like ELO would be reasonable, I feel like. But yeah, I don't hate the idea of them just like giving 7 more people their invite personally. But
You know, it's a good episode of the Uncommon Energy podcast when we bust out the tournament rules handbook, the 67-page document.
yeah.
All right. Play points. The Play Pokemon program will track play points as a tie-breaking tool. This tie-breaking tool may be used in exceptional circumstances to break championship ties. For example, when Play Pokemon is determining travel awards. More
Okay.
information can be found on the Play Points page.
Okay, so we already know that for sure for travel awards and stipends. Play points are the tiebreaker there.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
if they want to have a play point system in play, like it does feel bad for this to be the one they've chosen. Um, I don't know, man.
I think it's kind of a silly way to determine tiebreakers. Play point seems kind of silly. That definitely seems a little like a silly way.
Yeah,
But now that we're like talking about it, I think we did read something about this at the beginning of the season with like the initial season stuff, like for the tiebreakers, for this being the tiebreaker.
yeah.
I don't know what our opinions were then, or how much we even thought about it, or if we just kind of recognized that that's what it was said. But thinking about it now, in the moment, seems kind of silly. I guess like maybe they're trying to avoid some kind of like collusion situation where the players like line up to,
Yeah.
which I don't hate an anti-collusion thing existing to try and stray away from that, but I think Elo would be a way better tiebreaker.
In exceptional, this is on the Pokemon website as well. In
Yeah.
exceptional circumstances, points are used to break championship point ties, such as when play Pokemon is determining travel awards
Ooh.
or world championships invites.
Okay. Well, I think that answers the question right there for sure. I mean, yeah. So it sounds like people are maybe just misinterpreting what is being said.
Well, and I think it is not said the best, to be fair. Like, I
Presumably
understand how
awards
this could be, this is read and
are
like,
equal.
I understand how this could be interpreted the
Yeah.
way people are interpreting it, but I don't think that's what it means. It means like equal to the leaderboard standing,
Yeah.
125th. Like,
Yeah.
not saying the
Yeah, yeah,
championship
yeah,
points
yeah,
are
yeah. No, you're
irrelevant.
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It
So
has
if you
nothing
are
to do with the championship
if
points.
you're 125th, you're 125th, and there are means to determine who is 125th. Yeah, I think you are right
Yeah.
for sure. But hopefully, they hopefully don't do that.
I
Hopefully, it's
mean,
not play points next
dude,
year.
look at this massive tie for the last spot. Like, that is a huge feels bad for sure.
Yeah, just gotta hop in the DeLorean real fast though. Play another League Cup.
Go to one more pre-release or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, for the play. Oh yeah, you just need a play point. That does
Holy
feel
cow.
so bad. Oh my
Pokemon
gosh,
League,
you're right.
dude. Pokemon League. 1 league per season, up to 12 per year.
Should have hit up the league.
Pre-release tournament, 1 per event, no limit. League challenge, 1 per event, no limit.
Unlimited. Man, yeah, that does feel bad. I mean, I know I'm joking about it a little bit, but yeah, I feel for the players for sure. That definitely just kind of sucks. Like that
Yeah.
just sucks.
Yeah, it really does. So, I mean, if you find yourself in that situation, I don't think it hurts to send a support ticket and just clarify,
Yeah,
ask.
maybe they're down to like if enough people like submit support tickets and kind of like be like the idea of the play points is silly. Maybe I mean, I wouldn't you shouldn't hope for it. Assume that if you're not 125th, you don't have your worlds invite. It seems like. But I mean, if they did change it, they could change it before Worlds. They could be like, they're right. This is kind of silly. We can change this. This seems fine. I don't think anyone's going to be against us giving these people their Worlds invite. And who knows? Maybe they would change it. So submit your support tickets, make your case. Link them this clip of me saying play points is silly for what's it called? If you need anything else to throw at them, like
Please
play
leave
points
me
being
out
the
of everything you send in, please.
yeah, you can just use me. But yeah, play points being the tiebreaker for the world's invite does seem kind of silly because like theoretically the better player is probably the player who went to less events and got their world's invite. Like I mean, it doesn't matter one way or the other. So like why play points for the tiebreaker doesn't really make any
But
sense.
also at the same time, in theory, would you want to award the player who was more dedicated, went to more things, competed in more of your pillars with like the league
With
challenges
other
and
stuff, yes. Bring back more player rewards for play points. Yes, I think
sure,
that's
sure.
great, and we should have more of that as well. But it shouldn't be the determining factor for the world championships invites. That should be if we're gonna have it. If we're gonna have a tiebreaker, it should be Elo based. If they probably still have the Elo system in place behind the scenes that they've used that they've had available for like there used to even when we were doing championship points for worlds invites, there was still the Elo, you could still look at your Elo, I believe. So I bet it's still there. They just don't have it displayed on your play Pokemon profile anymore like they used to. But make that the tiebreaker, if anything. It being play points is just kind of silly to be honest.
So
So
looking at the leaderboards, EU, so NA was around 700 points is what was required to get top
yeah.
125. To get top 125 in Europe, it was 682 I wrote down, which would be right here, 135th. So they had 10 direct invites. To for Latin America, I don't know the exact number, but they got 100 invites, I believe, right? And that is around 630. Yeah, around that 630 mark. Again, that this one doesn't account for any
Wait, is there a tie here?
people
The
being
630.
removed.
Is there any ties in these ones or no? I'm actually curious
I'm
now.
not sure. Well, for this, I don't know the exact number because there's going to be people
Oh,
removed for direct invites. So it'll be maybe I don't want to say like, oh, it's probably like 620, and then oh, it turns out it's actually 622. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, that's right. We don't know the auto invites
I'm not
for
I'm
Latin
not
America.
throwing out a hard number here. For OCIC, they got 20 spots. Or OCIC for Oceania, they got 20 spots, which is around 625 right now. There will be some removed for
Yeah.
direct invites there.
Mhm.
And then for Middle East and South Africa, 10 spots is at 492 points. which at least one is removed here, I believe, right? Yeah, one with Raz will be removed because Raz has a direct invite from Worlds last year.
Oh yeah, true.
So we know that one for sure, I can say,
Mhm.
is at least 481.
Yeah, I don't think any of the I don't recognize any of the other names here. Maybe there's another auto invite there
Well,
somewhere.
they might have gotten one for winning one of the special events in South Africa.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So, but yeah, those are the numbers right now. Um, there's a lot of reactions and discussions around this. There's actually a pretty big thread from Dre that we were going to talk about. You still want to talk about it? We
Yeah,
got
sure.
time? Yeah, 1 hour. Yeah, we can go ahead and talk about it. So Dre pointed out, I think like part of this is like people, this what we're going to talk about is a discussion that's happened many times. We've talked about it many times with these special events, special championships, right?
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I guess I'll just read through it here. Dre's sentiment. I will also be going to far more SPEs next season if Pokemon doesn't change the way they pay out points. I do genuinely feel like I got bought out of my invite due to these small events paying out regional level points to records that wouldn't even make day 2 at any other major. Learned I must take the same advantages so it doesn't end up costing me. And this led to a pretty big discussion, I think, between him and Aiden Koos that went on pretty deep in this thread. Where is it actually? That got a lot of people talking for sure right here. Aiden, maybe going in a little hard, saying, or because Dre said, I have the time and money, don't think I needed to go. 4 to 5 people, about 100 to 200 points under me, all passed me by attending one sub 200 special event and getting top cut points. Lesson learned. Aiden said, you could just save your money and improve. And then they had this little back and forth, talking basically just about blaming the system and the problems with the system versus just focusing on being better at the game.
Yeah. Um, I just like a couple of thoughts to put into this. Like, it really depends on what your long term goals in Pokemon are. Like, if you don't improve, like, getting to Worlds is cool, right? And that's an achievement for a lot of players in the game. If your goal is to win Worlds, if your goal is to top 8 Worlds, if your goal is to make top cut in IC, getting your Worlds invite doesn't really matter. Getting better at the game is what matters. Um, so it really depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to just get your Worlds invite, yeah, going to special events and ICs like exclusively. If you have time to go to everything, go to everything. But if you don't, and you need to limit yourself to a certain amount of tournaments, if your goal is just to get Worlds invite, yeah, special events, less players, going to be easier for the same amount of payout as regionals, and going to ICs probably is your best route to just getting your Worlds invite. So it really depends on you ask yourself that question. Because if your goal is to improve, it doesn't matter if you make Worlds this year. It doesn't matter if you make Worlds next year or the year after. If you're improving, you give yourself the higher chance of doing well at these tournaments and then eventually getting your Worlds invite. Um, so it depends on what your goal is in the game, I guess. I think the only like the valid argument that I think has come up throughout this season, and then I don't know how what the system would have to look like, and I think it is something that Drake does bring up here and it's something that I think is worth discussing. Is just like, should a 200 person special event pay out the same amount of championship points as a 2,000 person regional championship? I don't think it's that big of a deal personally if it does or doesn't. Um, but if Pokemon comes out with a system where they kind of scale championship points based on attendance, I think that would be fine. Like that seems like a fine thing to do. Is it necessary? I don't know. I feel like if you go to a decent you still have to go to a decent amount of events to get your Worlds invite no matter what. It is going to be easier if you instead of going to 5 regionals, you go to 5 special events. It's going to be easier for sure, right?
Yep.
Unless it's like the European special events, and even some of the Latin American ones have gotten pretty big. So like, you're looking at hitting up special events like Puerto Rico, and I don't even know what some of the others like. I guess the ones in we just talked about them, the ones in South Africa, right?
Yeah.
So like going to those obviously is going to be a little bit of a difference maker. But even Puerto Rico was like up to like almost 300 people this year, I think. So they're getting more competitive across the board. But yeah, if you want to go hit up every special event in South Africa, it's going to be easier to get your Worlds invite for sure. But even if they like made it threshold based on the players, it's probably still would be easier to get your Worlds invite to go to these. Like I don't think they would lower the amount of championship points you can get from these special events by so much that it still wouldn't be the easiest route to getting your Worlds invite. But I don't know. I guess they would have to come out with this. Pokemon would have to come out with the
Yeah.
system that would kind of do that. Like if you have over 1,000 players at your event, then there's a kicker for that, and so on and so forth. And then they just still to take your best finishes for special events and regionals, just based on not. I said wouldn't be your placement because like the top 8 payouts would be different. It would just be on the ones that give you the most points. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll say I think it's like very reasonable from Dre. Um, at the end of the day, with like how the situation has played out here, to be annoyed with the situation, right? Like I was like he was very close to his invite, right? 680, 700 was the cutoff. Very, very close. And right at the end of the season, these South African special events happened, and a bunch of people leapfrogged him. And I think it's reasonable to be annoyed by that for sure. But also, I think Aiden brings up very good points that, at, and what you said, I think, is echoing in a more graceful way what Aiden was maybe trying to convey of, the real thing that should matter is the desire to, if that's your goal, right? To improve as a player.
Yeah.
And if you improve as a player, you're you're going to achieve your world's invite, right? If you just keep improving, keep getting better, you're going to get your world's invite. um so
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
honestly
I think it's like, and I do think I agree that something does feel kind of broken with the current system, with the lopsided points payouts, like for
yeah.
sure. But I think like both players have good points here. And then Dre did also follow up his kind of initial post saying, "I was salty when tweeting this for show. The Twitter tough guys that wouldn't even waste a tone with me in person. I acknowledge my season was nowhere near amazing, but solid, sure." So I mean, he's like kind of like taking ownership here a little bit for sure. And none of us like this isn't us like trying to call anyone out or even bring attention to this
Yeah,
specific conversation. It's more just like this conversation coming up in the community was a kicking
multiple
off for us
times.
to have a discussion about it.
Yeah, and this happened like multiple times throughout the season where this kind of was talked about. And it feels like at the end of the season is another good point, another good time to talk about it. I'm sure we might talk about it again going to next season, especially if changes happen as well. I mean, for me personally, I definitely like side a little bit more on. I want the Pokemon TCG competition to get to the point where the only players in top 32 of NAIC is like 32 Henry Chow's and Isaiah Bradner's, right? Like the players who are putting in that much extra time and are on that much of a higher level. Like I want the competition to get to that point, and that's where I mean that's going to be like the only people who are going to be able to compete for titles and at Worlds are going to be players who are only concerned with improving, right? So I want the competition to get to that point, anyways, personally. So this people going to special events just doesn't matter for the long term of what I want to see the Pokemon TCG turn into. So I don't really have a strong opinion on it because it doesn't change how I view the game or where I want the game to go personally. Because yeah, if you're just going to go to special events to get your invite, you're just going to get rocked at every event anyways. It doesn't matter if like you're not concerned with improving, but just getting your world's invite. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's how I kind of view things, and that's where I want the game to go. And I think we're headed in that direction. I think every single season we see more and more of that. Um, the game just getting more and more competitive, and it being harder and harder to succeed at these tournaments. So, um, yeah, so that's all I want to see more of. So it doesn't matter how you get your world invite. Uh, in the
Well,
end,
on a less serious note, it is time for Guess That Flavor Text. But before we get into the Guess That Flavor Text, we got to pay the bills. We got to say thanks to our fantastic sponsor, Dragon Shield, for supporting us here at the Uncommon Energy Podcast. Dragon Shield, of course, makes some of the best tabletop gaming and card gaming products on the market. We love them for their sleeves. They were the sleeves used by the North American International Champion, Isaiah Bradner, as well. I know he is a huge fan of the black non-glares, the matte non-glare sleeves. I've used them before as well. I think they feel pretty good. Azul, you were rocking Dragon Shows this weekend. What did you go with? Did you do a color change between day 1 and 2 as well?
I did. I rocked the amethyst. Or no, I ended up rocking the ambers and the well, I had a I forget what the color the name of the other one was that I used actually. It was a teal blue color. I don't remember the name, but I did rock the ambers on day one. I did finally use them. Felt great as always. So yeah, huge shout out to Dragon Shield as always for the sleeves, the hookup. I appreciate it.
I used my friend Puka, who does it was his cube we were using all weekend. He has his cube sleeved in custom Dragon Shield like art sleeves It's a very niche
Oh, yeah, I
product,
saw those.
but that's another great thing that Dragon Shield does, and I actually really like the feel of the art sleeves, to be honest. So if you're ever looking for custom artwork sleeves, yeah, I think the Dragon Shield ones honestly feel really, really nice.
Yeah, remember, you can't use them in official tournaments, but if you got,
You
like,
can't,
old
right?
old decks, cube, anything else, like, they're perfect for that kind of stuff if you're looking to have something a little bit custom on them. Yeah, I saw them. What had they said? Chaos or something on the back, the chaos, because it's the chaos cube.
It's the Chaos Cube,
Um,
yep.
yeah, so those are pretty cool. But yeah, shout out to Dragon Shield as always, sponsoring the pod. Check them out. DragonShield.com. Link, of course, will be in the description. And code UEPOD, UEPOD, will get you 5% off and directly supports us here as well. With that, we do have guess that flavor text. This week, Chip is going to pick a card, read the flavor text, and then I have to try and guess what Pokemon belongs to that card and flavor text. For each lifeline I use, I'll get 1 less point, starting at 4 points. Lifelines are what set the card is. Wait, what set the card is from, what stage the card is, and then read an attack name. And yes, Chip, I am ready for this week's flavor text.
Let's go. Current score, I am ahead 37-32, so Azul cannot catch me, but he can close the gap a little bit if he's able to get this one correct. Last week, I was unable to successfully guess Dreadnought. We'll see if Azul can get it this week. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof it really likes you.
Okay, I have a Pokemon in my mind. Wait, read it again?
It uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof it really likes you.
I feel like it's Delcatty. I think Delcatty has 2 tails. But also Skitty could. The other one I'm thinking of is no, Liepard doesn't have 2 tails, I don't think. For some reason in my head I'm thinking of it. I think it is Delcatty or Skitty. What stage is the card?
It is a stage 1.
I'm just gonna lock in. Read it to me one more time.
It uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof it really likes you.
Also, like, I think Delcatty has something to do with just kind of being like a affectionate Pokemon. Isn't there like a heart on the end of its tail? That Delcatty? Or Pokemon that has a heart on the end of its tail. It could also be, I feel like maybe Glaceon or Vaporeon, but I don't think they would have that flavor text though. I think, oh, is it Sylveon? It could be Sylveon. Oh, I think does Sylveon have multiple tails though? I actually don't know, but I feel like Sylveon's thing is like affection, probably in some way. All right. Maybe I use one more lifeline here. I mean, I could, if I do set, that could tell me for sure if it's not Sylveon. Let's do with what set the card is from.
It is from Lost Origin.
That's before Sylveon.
Wrong.
It's not.
No.
Could still be Sylveon or Delcatty.
Lost Origin is a Sword and Shield set.
So I could do. I could.
It's
Try,
the
I
set with
could,
like Giratina V-Star in it.
all right, let's do an attack name then. Let's just use them all here.
All you can grab.
Doesn't sound like either Delcatty or Sylveon. All right, give me the flavor text just one more time, I guess. One last time.
It uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof it really likes you.
There's like one more. What is the name? What is Liepard's basic? Am I thinking of Liepard's basic?
Purloin. But remember, it's a stage 1.
No, it's not. I'm thinking there's like one more cat Pokemon in my head. Kitty, Delcatty, Purloin, Meowstick. What's Meowstick's basic?
Esper.
Esper. It's not Esper or Meowstick. Or if it is, I just gotta lock in on Sylveon or Delcatty. I'm just gonna go with Delcatty because I guess like it could be. Yeah, the attack sounds like a colorless Pokemon attack as well. Let's just go with Delcatty. but I think I'm missing a cat Pokemon here.
Going with Delcatty, locking it in.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Zool. It is not Delcatty.
Mm.
It is. You're thinking of its tails. Its tails are not necessarily tail-like. They are its tails. It is Ambipom.
Okay, I don't think I would have never thought of Ampipom as having tails, but it definitely is a tail.
Yeah, two of
Ooh,
them.
maybe if I thought about the attack name a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have gotten to Ampipom though.
I was debating which attack name to give you, and when you were struggling and not thinking Ambipom at all, I gave you this one thinking there was a chance it would help a little bit.
All you can grab.
Flip a
Yeah,
coin until you get if I read this effect, you maybe would have actually gotten it because Ambipom is a very coin flippy Pokemon typically.
yeah. Yeah, did not Ampipom was not at all on my radar. I thought I was like I got there with the Delcatty off the rip. What is Delcat? Does Delcatty have multiple tails though? It probably doesn't, does it?
I don't think so.
There's like some cat Pokemon I'm thinking of. No.
Yeah, it's just one tail.
Oh, Sylveon. Sylveon only has one tail as well, I assume.
Yeah, I think so, but it has the ribbons.
Yeah. Are those just is everything tails?
No, it's only one tail.
Yeah. I couldn't fully picture either Pokemon in my head, so I was like, maybe they have multiple tails.
It's probably a good thing you couldn't picture either of these Pokemon's butts, to be honest.
Right. Well, another L for me. In this week's flavor text, Chip maintains his 5-point lead
Let's
with
go.
a super lucky Beware guess.
I thought you would maybe be able to get this one. I wasn't. I'm trying to give you ones. I don't want to
Yeah,
just.
honestly,
I don't want to make it a freebie. You know.
the best clue is definitely the attack name for sure. I feel like overall, for me
Yeah.
at least. Um,
All
but we
right.
got Japan Championships coming up this weekend. Once again, I'm going to be restreaming that Friday and Saturday. I think the start time for both that as well is like 5 p.m. West Coast time. So PST, 5 p.m. PST is the start time for the tournaments. Anyone
Yeah.
who's interested.
It doesn't seem like a lot is going to change for the format initially. Like nothing major.
Dude,
There
I
are
don't
some
know.
pretty good cards. I think leading the way is definitely like Genesect EX, right? Very good
Yep.
for evolving metal decks, namely Golden Go. And then the lightning support stuff, Dynamotor, uh, Electric. Also, the Zekrom EX is pretty good too. Late game attacker for a Miraidon deck. Iron Hands, we know, is one of the most powerful Pokemon in the format when there's a good way to utilize it. Is this a better way to go about it than Joltig? We'll have to see, right? Go back to like electric generators and you have the Dynamotor Flaffies to get some energies back into play. Yeah, interested to see. And then of course, like there's some other smaller things. Air Balloon is back in the format. Tool Scrapper is back in the format. These are cards we'll probably see at some point along the weekend. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's anything super major. Do you feel like that's not the case?
I feel like Iron Hands is back for sure. It's scary. It also has Zekrom. It has a closer, right? Because
Yeah.
that's almost the bigger thing the deck was missing was it didn't have Raichu anymore. You don't have Raichu, but you have something. And also Golden Go plays completely differently. You're a go first deck now. I don't think you play Arvin. I think you're going first, 4 Nest Ball, 4 Buddy Puff, and 2 Genesect. Maybe Revavroom gets involved because that kind of increases your value.
You have Air Balloon.
You have Air Balloon as well. You have the increased value on your dude there on the Genesect by playing through potentially a Revavroom. So I think Golden Go seems ridiculously good. I think Iron Hands Miraidon seems really good as well. I don't know if the Miraidon deck can keep up with Golden Go though, to be honest. Because if they KO your first Iron Hands, if you even get off the first attack yourself, because if they just go first, then they just have a bunch of Golden Goes on turn 2. Like it feels like you're kind of in trouble.
How much HP does Genesect EX have?
220. So it can get KO'd by Miraidon. So that does give you another 2 prize knockout. And then maybe the Zekrom gets in there after that. Each prize card opponent. Oh wait, you're actually doing 330 with Zekrom if they've drawn 4? Pretty good.
It's really good.
That's actually better than I thought it was. I didn't think it was hitting that hard that fast.
Yeah, if they've drawn 330, that KOs Dragapults, KOs Charizards, KOs Gardevoir EX.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So like I'm saying, like both those seem pretty good. Like it seems like both those we're gonna have the best Iron Hands deck we've had in a while. or not a while. We're like Joltik Box is fine. But yeah, since rotation, I guess, right? Best Iron Hands deck we've had since rotation, for sure. And then, so I think all of a sudden, like that's one of the things that actually maybe has like allowed Gardevoir to thrive. Is we just don't have a good, we don't have an Hands deck that is favored against Gardevoir because Joltik Box at best is 50-50, but is more often than not unfavored. Even if you tech for it, I think it's still unfavored. So we're gonna have a Joltik deck that is, or Iron Hands deck that is favored against Gardevoir probably, and then we have Golden Go, which has been a good deck for a while now, all of a sudden become maybe a great deck. So I think that changes up things quite a bit, to be honest. I'm actually not sure where things kind of go from there as well. Also, Silver Bangle, Typhlosion gets so much better with Silver Bangle, I feel like. So we got that happening as well. So those are like the big three I'm looking at. Obviously, Metagross gets a huge buff with the Genesect as well. But if Golden Go's the best deck in the format, I don't know if you're, or like a top 2 deck, top 3 deck, I think you're having trouble. So I expect to see quite a big shakeup. Maybe we see nothing, but I expect to see a pretty big shakeup just based on those two factors alone.
All these different things, and then their tournament's still going to be won by Raging Bolt, probably in true Japan fashion.
Maybe. Maybe for sure. I did talk to Yoshiyuki a little bit. He did mention, I don't know if he said it was like the best deck, but he mentioned Golden Go with Genesect. It's pretty good. And I mean, he's literally going from NAIC to back to Japan to play in the Japan Championships. There's a couple foreign players, non-Japanese players who are doing that as well. So, but he also mentioned Raging Bolt is just really good because of time. Like, uh,
Is
they
that the
they have
biggest factor to why it's so popular and does so well?
he made it kind of seem that way because best of one 25 minutes. They're going to be playing best of one 25 minutes day one, but day two is going to be best of 350 minutes. But they don't have +3. They just have
Do they get
even
to
turn.
change decks between day 1 and day 2?
Yes, yeah, they can change decks. Um, he made it seem like Raging Bolt is like a really good choice still just because of time. Um, they get 50 minutes best of 3, but they don't get the +3. And I imagine players over there are overall just a little bit slower. And we kind of saw that a little bit at the first regional in Mexico. The tie rate was super high, and players in Mexico haven't had like a major
Yeah.
in a while. So I think there is a little bit to say about that for sure. And Japan's,
The player base isn't as used to that format.
yeah, and Japan, they only have one best of 3 tournament a year. So um, I think maybe that does have a little bit impact on the actual meta outcome. The best decks maybe aren't being played as at a rate that they should be because of that. I could definitely see that being a factor. So I still expect things to be a little bit different though, and I hope it is. I hope it is. I think it's always better when things are shaken up and doing, and then the set is actually having an impact. I think there's a lot of potential with just those cards. Also, there is Embor, but I don't think Embor has great partners right now. I think
Not
Embor is
right
going to be
now.
something that happens later. But I think just those 3 cards, Silver Bangle, Genesect EX, and Electric, are going to shake things up for sure. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So, but we'll see this weekend. We'll see what ends up happening at Japan. But of course, Japan isn't. I would say they're just not the greatest indicator of it. But I feel like that'd be like true for any region. If any region got the cards ahead of anyone else, none of them are going to be that great of an indicator because it's just early in the meta. Everyone shares the same card pool. A lot of players are trying to do the same things across the world. So it's just the beginning part of the meta game that we all kind of share and play in eventually. So we'll see where things start off in the black and white meta game this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to tune in, to be honest, see what kind of impact this set has. I'll be popping in your stream at least at some point. I'm probably not going to stay up the whole the whole
Yeah.
time. Um,
It'll
Maybe
also be
if
curious to
I
see
get
if
up with the
they
baby in the middle of the night, I'll pop in your AirPod in or something.
I'll also be curious to see if they reveal any new. Honestly, I think we talked about this a little bit before we started recording. I don't remember if they revealed cards at the last Japan Championships, but honestly, they've already revealed Mega Pokemon. So I imagine they will reveal more Mega cards at the Japan Championships or cards that are coming out in the Mega set. Because was it this weekend, 21st? The cards for them come out, I think, at the end of July or yeah, it comes out on like the 1st of August. So I guess that's still kind of like over a month away. It's like a month and 2 weeks away. So, but I would expect some kind of reveals. That'd be my guess. I actually don't know for sure. I don't remember if there was reveals at the last Japan Championships or not.
I have to imagine.
Yeah, I mean it's when they do it for all the other Champions League, so it would make sense, but would make sense.
Okay. Well, I think that that's it for the main discussion there. Let's make some predictions for the weekend. First off, highest placing black and white card from the newest sets.
Ice placing card. I'm gonna go with Silver Bangle. I'm pulling for Typhlosion here.
I am gonna go. That is an interesting choice. It's not called Silver Mango, by the way. I don't remember what it's called though. I'm gonna
Silver Bangle.
go with a pretty boring answer. Air balloon.
Yes. Very cool, Chip.
I'm strategic here, buddy. I need my brownie points. All right. Next up, pick a player to make top cut. You mentioned Yoshiyuki, someone who just competed at NAIC and is headed straight over there. There's a lot of other players who are headed straight over there from NAIC as well. A lot of non-Japanese players as well.
Yeah. Do you have a player in mind then? Are you going with a non-Japanese player here to make?
I mean, he was locked in for this event and got top 4. I don't know how much testing he's done for this one necessarily, but a locked in Tord is a scary Tord. I'm gonna go with my goat, Tord Reklev.
Sounds good. I am gonna go with I'm gonna go with Haru on this one. He always seems like he's pretty innovative.
Haru Nishikawa.
Yeah. Pulled a pretty solid placement. Was part of the Grimmsnarl group, right? From Aichi. I feel like he's always ahead of the curve a little bit over there in Japan for the most part. So I'm gonna go with Haru for a top cut here at the Japan Championships.
And finally, pick a deck to win.
Okay, well, I did say Silver Bangle was going to be the highest placing black and white card, and I think the deck that it's best in is Typhlosion.
There's no way.
I'm going to go with Haru playing Typhlosion with Silver Bangle to a victory at the Japan Championships.
That would be pretty wild. That 3 for 3 prediction, that would be nuts.
Yeah, I doubt he's playing Typhlosion. The deck definitely gets way better with Silver Bangle, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it be successful. Of course, I don't know what the rest of the metagame looks like, but obviously if Golden Go is
Brave
good,
Bengal, buddy. Brave Bengal.
Well, we don't have the official translation yet, right? So it could still, this could be incorrect. So
Well, it's gold, so I don't think it's going to be called Silver Bengal.
Gold Bangle, okay, Gold Bangle. But yeah, I mean, depending on what the rest of the metagame looks like, Typhlosion might just be a bad deck, to be honest. Who knows? But could be a lot. I mean, it already feels like it's an okay deck right now. Like right now, it feels it's like, all right, this is not terrible. Obviously, it's like not a top deck, but it maybe just needs a little bit more. And Silver Bangle might be it, the thing that unlocks the deck.
For me, I think I'm gonna go with Dragapult.
It's pretty lame there, Chip.
Yeah, Tord rocking Dragapult, threw an air balloon in there for a pivot. It does already have rescue word, I guess, so maybe we don't need the air balloon and Latias. But you know what? He'll beat someone in the finals that has air balloon in their deck.
That could be good enough. Yeah, if he maybe just runs the same 60 from NAIC and then beat someone playing air balloon.
That's all I need, buddy.
See it. I would hope. I mean, Tord played Mewtwo at the last one. I hope Tord brings.
I hope he takes it a little more
Gardevoir.
seriously than he did last time.
Chill. What if he was? What if that was like he thought he had it?
He thought he had it with
I honestly,
Lucky Helmet Rockets Mewtwo.
I think he probably tried. He forced Mewtwo a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think he probably forced Mewtwo, but forcing something like Electric or
See, I think
Genesect.
so he already had qualified for the Japan Championships, right? It was his
True.
second Champions League. So I think he was like just kind of down to like enjoy the experience, right?
Run the Rockets Mewtwo.
Run the Rockets Mewtwo.
Play the new cool deck in the new format.
He's going to take it
Japan.
super serious for this one for sure.
I mean, this would be a pretty sick thing to add to the resume for sure. The Japan Championships. I mean, on top of all his other achievements, this would be a good one to add for sure. Yeah, hopefully.
Just widening the gap between him and Jason and you, buddy.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be hanging out with Jason down here.
All right. I think that's it for our episode this week. Azul, you got anything else you want to say to the people before we get to our bonus episode?
No, yeah. Take us out.
Appreciate the support as always, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. If you do enjoy, Be sure to leave us a rating, a review, a comment, like, subscribe. All those things help us out a bunch. Let us know you're enjoying the content and helps other people to find it as well. Thanks so much to everyone who came up to either of us at NAIC this weekend. Happy to chat with people. I answered a guess that flavor text or two. So thanks for coming up and saying hello. And if you want to stay up to date with myself and Azul, the best place to do it is over on Twitter. You can follow myself at ChipRitchie, Azul at Azul_GG, and you can follow the podcast at Uncommon_Energy.
Yeah, like Chip said, definitely appreciate everyone coming up. I always feel like people are, well, some people are a little scared to come up sometimes, but most of the time it's people are just like, they don't want to bother, they don't want to annoy. But like, just as much as people appreciate, you know, coming up to me and me signing something for them or just taking a picture or whatever, I appreciate people coming up and asking. Like the reason you want to do that is the reason I get to do what I get to do and play Pokemon so much. So, I appreciate when people come up, ask for a picture, ask me to sign something, whatever it might be. So don't act like you're, I don't know, wasting my time or using my time or something like that. Whatever it might be. Feel free, come up, ask for the picture, ask me to sign something. Just say what's up. Just a fist bump is fine as well. Whatever you want to do. I very much appreciate those interactions for sure. So yeah, thanks for the support. Catch y'all next Wednesday, 7 a.m. Eastern.